Hello and welcome to Kids' Stuff, a Chucky Podcast, a Haunted MTL original podcast. I'm your host, David Davis, and we are going to be talking about Chucky Season 1, Episode 8, An Affair to Dismember, the season finale of the first season of Chucky. And with me today is my good friend and the first guest we had on the podcast, Kevin Heyman. Kevin, how are you?
I am fantastic, and I am excited to talk about an exciting season finale.
Right? It's been a blast. But before we get into the discussion and everything like that, we have the standard format of the show, but we've been with you a couple of times now. So I do have one question for you.
Right.
So you do a podcast about the supernatural.
I do.
So I would like to know, based on this universe, is Chucky a cryptid?
You know what? I think he is, actually, because it's in the media. No one believes it, except for, like, two lone nuts traveling the country like a heavily damaged Scully and Mulder. So, yes, Chucky is, in fact, a cryptid.
Okay, well, there you go.
If he's not a cryptid, he is definitely an urban legend.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. But I was just thinking about that, because I was like, you know what? Considering that there's, like, stories about Chucky and everything like that, is he a cryptid?
yeah.
And yeah, I would agree with you there. I think he's totally a cryptid in this universe.
Absolutely.
Reminds me of the time we were on your podcast and someone asked if the Ninja Turtles were cryptids, and we're like, yep, 100%.
No, totally. Absolutely. Not in the animated version, but definitely in a lot of the different versions of the franchise.
Oh, yeah. So, anything you would like to plug before we kind of dive into the discussion? Because, I normally ask, what it is you do, anything exciting coming up?
Well, we've got the Patreon that launched for Supernatural Selection. You can find us at our new, easy-to-remember URL, supernatpod.rocks. And we have got a lot of really, really fun stuff coming up next year. And we've got I still cannot believe we've reached 23 episodes. So there is a good backlog for you guys to go through and check
I'm on
out.
13 of them or something.
Yeah, you and Mike are the two main co-hosts, and I'm really glad that we've got both of you together these days on the shows.
We're doing a lot more of that, that's for sure.
Yes, and you have been knocking it out of the park with your research, by the way. Just the whole, we did a 3-part series on the Legend of Boggy Creek, basically, the Falk monster, and you did great, and I cannot trust horses anymore.
And that reference will fly over the heads of anyone who isn't listening to Supernatural Selection, so you owe it to yourself to listen to Supernatural Selection at supernatpod.rocks. Yeah, and it's a ton of fun. It's like, this is my podcast, but I also feel like I have a little bit of ownership of Supernat because I'm there frequently enough.
You and Mike and me, that's the show. I mean, you guys are just as big a part of it as me, so I'm glad you feel that way.
Yeah. So, let's go ahead and dive into the season finale, and it is confirmed it's a season finale because season 2 was confirmed about a week.
So excited.
Yeah, it was confirmed about a week before the season finale. So I'm just I'm over the moon the fact that we're getting a second season of Chucky because I cannot tell you how much I love this show.
Oh, it is fantastic. It has been, and that's the thing. I think what the Child's Play and Chucky films needed was breathing room. And it certainly got it.
We'll definitely talk about that because I've been following the franchise since I was a wee little lad, but you kind of got a concentrated dose of the series. So I'm curious, as someone who's had that very kind of short experience with the whole of the franchise, how do you feel like this season lives up into developing the series?
I feel like the television format was what this franchise needed.
I'm with you on that. There's just something about the serialization of Chucky that just works so well. And then from a technical standpoint, this is the most Chucky we have ever seen on screen ever.
Yeah, no. And there have been hit or miss moments in the series, but they really did a great job in this last episode for sure.
Oh yeah, like largely, like I think as a whole, just a great hit overall.
Mm-hmm.
But any technical process, there are going to be little errors here and there, and I notice them, but it doesn't take me out of things. You know what I mean?
No. And again, it's a doll, so
Yeah.
you expect some shaky stuff there.
Oh yeah. So let's go ahead and talk about the episode a little bit. So
Mm-hmm.
I try to make sure that I point out the directors and the writers of the episodes. I think I've only missed doing that on like one episode of the show, so that's been good so far. But the season finale was directed by Jeff Renfro, and he works from a script written by series creator Don Mancini and lead writer Harley Payton. And I think as a whole, like the three of them, they nailed it. As far as like delivering anything you want out of a season finale, right? Like,
Yes.
What would you want out of like a season finale for Chucky?
Well, what we got, and I really feel like this is everything I wanted in a season finale, is there were happy endings,
Mm-hmm.
there were cliffhangers, and Chucky is still out there.
Yeah. So like you want a win and a defeat for Chucky.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what you kind of expect from the franchise. You want him to get away with shit because you want more Chucky, but you also want like his little body to be smashed to pieces, which they've been very good at that.
Mm-hmm. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna say that the ending of this one reminded me of the end of Cult of Chucky, but in a television format that works.
Mm-hmm.
It works so much better in a television format than it did in the film.
Well, and yeah, let's unpack that a little bit because we both think that like serialization in television is the way to go for Chucky. So like, why do we think that?
Because it's in horror movies, there's always the sequel, and it's like they always have to in a film you have to have a clear, concise ending where the heroes feel like they've won. And then, like at the end of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, you have Skeletor's head pop out of the water, going, "I'll be back." And that doesn't really work in movies a lot of times because it's like you don't know if you're getting a sequel. And it also, like I said, with Seed of Chucky, I really felt like the cliffhanger ending did not do it any favors. It ends with Andy in the psych ward. It ends with Chucky and Nika. It ends with all that stuff, and you're like, I don't feel satisfied.
Okay. I guess that's fair because I
Mhm.
I enjoyed it, but I had like a strong feeling we were gonna get a resolution. But like,
Uh-huh.
if you don't feel like that resolution is gonna potentially happen because these movies were direct to video for a couple of movies, then
Yeah.
I can understand that kind of like
Right.
apprehension.
And that's what I was feeling. Even knowing that the series was on the way,
Mm-hmm.
I still didn't really feel like they should have gone that direction with the film.
Now, see, I kind of attribute that cult ending to kind of like like the Empire Strikes Back in the sense that like it's a bad ending for the protagonists, and it's completely unfair in a lot of ways, but it's still something that you can kind of embrace and pull something from.
Sure, I just I don't I don't know when you don't clearly have the sequel okayed yet. I don't
Yeah.
know that a film deserves that kind of ending.
Well, and it makes me wonder if when they were filming the TV show's finale, if they were going to if they recorded like two versions because there was something about the ending of the episode, and we'll just kind of jump into that there. When Andy gets in the truck to drive away the good guy dolls,
Hmm.
part of me thought he was going to drive the truck into Tiffany's car.
I thought that too.
And I wonder if that was maybe like an alternate thing or that was something they had considered because they didn't know if they were getting
Yeah,
a renewal or not.
I agree. I think they may have shot two versions,
Hmm.
and they were waiting on the news privately,
Hmm.
and then they cut the episode together.
Yeah, see, so I don't know much about the production schedule, so I'm just wondering like how
Same.
quick they were able to pull the trigger on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
how
I
soon did
agree.
they know? Because I'm sure they had to wait at least a week or two before they like publicly announced.
I'm willing to
Season 2.
wager they shot the endings. They shot a series finale version of this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the ending.
Yeah.
Sent it off to USA/SyFy, and they were like, and they told them, look, we've got another version that's open-ended.
Mm-hmm.
And after the executives reviewed it, they probably said, why don't you go ahead and do the open-ended version, sirs?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's like a big like Oprah check under your seat moment.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think that's what they did. They shot 2 versions and told them they shot 2 versions, and they were like, yeah, no, go with the good one.
Well, and I mean, we'll know for sure if we ever see that alternate ending pop up, because stuff like that like leaks all the time, and stuff like that gets thrown out there.
Or ends up as bonus material.
Yeah.
You know, so it'll be there.
Yeah, and it's definitely a show that I'm going to pick up on Blu-ray because I'm going to pour over it a lot.
Yeah. And seriously, I have loved the character development that has happened in this show.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also really glad I got to be like the bookend guy for this series, because like I've really enjoyed all this.
Yeah.
The progress.
Well, and it was neat because when I had the idea for doing the podcast, you were the first guest I invited, and the whole idea of like interviewing people who didn't have much experience with the series came from me talking with you about this, because I love sitting down and recording shit with you. That's why we do that every week. but just the idea of like, let me be your Sherpa into this strange world of a killer doll, and then the fact that you like became a fan makes me just so happy. I'm just so happy that we managed to kind of like find this little entertainment avenue, because for the people who don't know, you can be a little bit of a grump when it comes to like media.
Oh God, yes. I am just the biggest curmudgeon when it comes to television and film.
Yeah, trying to get you to watch some stuff is just like, it's like trying to pull the teeth off a aggressive horse.
You and horses, my God. Yes. But that is completely true. My roommate was trying to get me to watch Child's Play for a long time, and honestly, the idea of doing the podcast is what did it. I was like, sure, fine. And now I'm like, yes, more, please. More horror, more Chucky, more whatever.
Oh, yeah, and then it's definitely a thing where, like, when Season 2 comes out, I will probably have you on for, like, the season premiere of Season 2, because, you know, it's so fun to talk to you about this stuff, you know, especially between, like, one person whose life has revolved around Chucky to a degree, and another person who's just kind of come into it and embraced it so readily.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about what's going on in the episode, because holy shit, there are so many little plot threads that converge in this one. So just off the top of my head, we have the whole plot thread involving Junior and his slide into darkness. We have Chucky and Tiffany's plans that are sometimes competing with one another, but also kind of working together.
And I love how, and I need to say this, I really love Tiffany's different relationships with the different Chuckies.
Right.
Like, her relationship with Nika Chucky is very much like
horrific.
It's horrifying, and it reminds me of their relationship when he was a human.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we'll talk about the whole Tiffany and Nika thing in a bit, because I have some specific thoughts on that. But I kind of want to cover some of the other, like, just list the different plot lines that we have here. Because we also have the Andy and Kyle plot line. Mm-hmm. We also have the plot line with Jake, Devin, and Lexi.
Yes, which I really want to talk about Lexi as we go. So
and then we also have the whole thing with Mare Cross and trying to, like, find that balance of, like, work and family, I guess, and how that ends up failing spectacularly. So,
I think discovering that balance would be a better term, because there is no balance with the mayor.
That is true.
Yeah. I mean, like, the whole series, we're sitting there going, I cannot wait for her to get murdered.
Mm-hmm. And it looked very close, like it was going to happen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But I almost think she went through a fate worse than death in this case, which...
you're right. Yeah.
So let's go ahead and start going through some of these plot lines. We started with Junior when I listed them out here. So let's talk about Junior's journey, which I really
Oh God.
appreciated. I do
Mm-hmm.
think that it was maybe a little shorter than it needed to be. Like
Well,
I think they could have had that cooking for at least another episode or so.
I guess I kind of feel like, well, I think it happened when it needed to, so we could have what was going on in this
I mean,
episode.
that
But
is fair. There's so much going on.
and seriously, a lot of it was communicated through his dad.
Mm-hmm.
So I totally got where they were going with it, and I'm gonna be honest. My roommate called the whole Junior storyline,
Mm-hmm.
him becoming the killer. Uh, he predicted that about 3 or 4 episodes ago.
Oh yeah. I
And
mean, the
I
signs
was a
were
little
there.
surprised. Yeah, they
Yeah.
were there. Um, and what really did it was uh, Devin, Lexi, and Jake becoming like a friend group.
Yeah, and then when you see that he becomes isolated from, because you and I listened to last podcast on the left, we know about the danger of
Oh,
loners.
yeah. No, you never isolate the loner more. That is a terrible
Yeah.
idea.
Well, you know, I guess my concern, a lot of a lot of Junior's
Junior.
storyline, it was very very subtle, and I caught those things, like when he's the relationship with his dad getting more and more fractured, the thing where he
Mm,
gets the smoke inhalation and it messes with his lungs, and you see
uh-huh.
that kind of relief, like, oh hey, I'm not going to have to practice all this running and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the acting there, very very good. It's subtle, it worked. It felt like we had just scratched the surface of giving like Junior a bunch of cool shit to do. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't mean cool because murder isn't cool,
No, no,
but in the
obviously.
in the context of the TV show, I would
Yeah.
have liked to have seen Junior do some more stuff. But I also appreciate that, like, the way he played it, it was kind of like Junior thought he was just tripping out the entire time, just hallucinating all this shit. Like he knew he was having like a mental breakdown sort of thing.
Yeah. I
Like
don't
that.
yeah, I agree. At first I don't know that he really thought the doll was actually talking to him,
Mhm.
or at least he accepted it so wholeheartedly. I'm kind of like, I'm just going to go on with this trip and see where it goes.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
it leads to some great moments in this episode, which is why I think I felt a little bad that they didn't give Tio Briones more to do in this version of the character.
Yeah.
Like the part where like Tiffany and Chucky are arguing, and
Oh
then she
god.
talks about Chucky having a tiny dick, and then Junior's just like, "Whoa!" like that combination of
Yeah.
all these characters in the same room is just I loved it so much, and like I wanted more of it.
Yeah,
And we're
like
not going to get that now because Junior's gone.
yeah, and I got to admit, like, there was a part of me that was really hoping Junior would like have like a surrogate son feeling with those
Hmm.
two.
Yeah.
Like, like maybe he's going like, mommy, daddy, don't fight.
Yeah, like that would have, I think that would have been an interesting angle. I can see why they didn't do it,
Sure.
because, Tiffany and Chucky talked about having kids
Mm-hmm.
involved in the stuff, and it didn't work out very well for Alice.
Oh
so,
God, no, it never does.
right. So it's just so part of me is like, oh man, what if like Junior had kind of continued to develop that way? But I also appreciate like that he had an ending where he redeemed himself as well.
Yes, I was gonna say I'm actually really glad he got his redemption moment.
Yeah. And it I think it helps clean things up for a lot of the other characters because now it's like,
Hmm.
okay, well, unfortunately now a lot of the stuff's probably going to be pinned on Junior.
Yes, because
Yeah.
who's gonna believe about the doll?
Yeah, like let's
Never.
ignore the meat-filled dolls in the movie theater. Let's talk about the kid who also has a stab wound in his chest. Yeah, he did it.
Yeah, obviously.
But I really got to hand it to like I think all of the kids are great.
They really are.
Olivia specifically as Lexi, but I really liked Tio as Junior. I think Junior
I
had one of the
agree.
more interesting arcs going on here.
Hmm. No, he definitely. I'm trying to think of how to put it. he was on some level he was given a shit hand for the character because
Mhm.
like you're not meant to like this character on some level, but he made him likable. He made him sympathetic.
Yeah, you could totally understand why
Uh-huh.
Junior's upset. He doesn't like he's unfair about the whole situation, but you understand why he's being unfair about it.
Yeah, they also dropped the bully angle fairly early in the series. So, like, he
Mhm.
definitely became more sympathetic because you see him being pushed by his dad and him being like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah.
But and then that final moment between like Lexi and Junior and like the Chucky who's kind of the devil on Junior's shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a more emotional and satisfying resolution to that story than the whole Jake and Devin scene with the other Chucky doll. Like, they're both good, don't get me wrong. I both enjoyed
Yeah.
them thoroughly, but there was just something about that scene where it's, Lexi and Junior and that Chucky doll. I
Where they're
love
both
it so much.
fucking really good actors.
Hmm.
So it really comes out in the performance. Like, you get that feeling. And also, Lexi is sitting there going, oh shit, yes, no, this is completely my fault.
Hmm.
I feel awful that this is happening. I was an ass.
Hmm.
So it really, holy shit, that is like a major piece of character development
Yeah, and I
for
think
her.
just like, yeah, I mean, and just like dramatically, I think it's the stronger of the two sequences with the kids.
I agree wholeheartedly because it's not about revenge. It's not about uh, spite. It is a battle for a human's soul.
Yeah, and it's so much more tragic with the way it resolves. Like
I know.
when Junior goes after that doll, he's gonna die, and there's
Yeah.
nothing that can be done about it, and it's very very sad. Like even though Junior is patricidal, you still feel bad for him.
He's patricidal, but it's one of those things where it's like, but they set dad up to kind of deserve this. So like you're
Right.
like because when he did it, you're like, whoa, that's savage, but
Mhm.
kind of glad to see this fucker go.
Right. No, and I get it, but like
Yeah.
it goes to show like there is a kind of a moral complexity going
Oh,
on to
yeah,
these relationships that are going on here.
definitely.
Um, so yeah, I think as a whole, like as far as the storylines go, I really love the Junior storyline. If I were to give it
Hmm.
like a rating, it'd be like a 5 out of 5.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah, I think they just absolutely nailed it, and I'm going to be sad that he's gone. I really am. I would have loved to have seen him in season 2,
I
but
agree, but
yeah.
there's also a part of me that's like, this is basically a horror series,
Hmm.
so who knows?
Yeah, I mean, some characters just absolutely can't come back, and it can't just be the parents. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the other thing about the Junior story is how it evokes the original concept for the Chucky movies back when it was Blood Buddy. Because Blood Buddy, the whole story there was that
Yeah, we talked about that where it was
mhm,
the doll was just in
the
Andy's
manifestation of
mind.
the rage of the child.
Hmm. Yes.
And then and that's great that they kind of tied that into the ritual of awakening the, what was it, 72 other Chucky dolls?
72 other fucking Chuckies. And can I just say that it reminds me of, do you remember the movie Multiplicity?
Yes.
Where they cloned Michael Keaton, and when you clone a clone, they're dumber?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You get that feeling with the other
Oh,
Chuckies,
oh
because they're
yes.
like,
Oh
yeah, no,
yes.
hey, is there an age limit to who we can kill?
No babies.
No
Ne-
babies.
never
Well,
mind. Never
what
mind
qualifies as a baby?
exactly. Well, and that of course, never mind the fact that Chucky like paralyzed Nika because he stabbed her as a fetus. You know what I
Holy
mean?
shit. Yeah, no, let's not touch that.
But yeah, I really do appreciate the fact that like this is kind of harkening back to the original concept of the series, which it
Yeah.
just makes me so happy that like Mancini's able to kind of go back and do the things that he wanted to do from the beginning, like with the
And
72 fucking Chucky dolls.
yeah, and the whole idea of damaged children. Um,
Hmm.
especially, and I'd like to just kind of bring this up out of left field. Andy is extremely damaged. In fact, I
Oh
almost
yeah.
think Andy has become what uh, Chucky would have wanted him to become. because he's kind of a heartless asshole at the moment.
Well, at this point, Andy is a serial killer. He's just a serial killer of supernaturally possessed dolls.
Full of meat, yes.
Full of meat, yes, meat dolls.
Yeah. Speaking of meat dolls, in that other scene, the mirrored scene with Devin and Jake.
Yeah, let's go ahead and move on to that one.
Yeah, that was the most violent Chucky death, and we've seen some violent Chucky deaths. The whole beheading thing earlier in the episode, shot up by Kyle in the previous episode.
Yeah,
he popped that fucker's eyes out of his head.
Oh, yes. Like, if the gay agenda is to destroy Chucky dolls, and I am totally part of the gay agenda.
Oh, yeah. No, dude. Well, I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm down with the gay agenda anyway, but, like...
Oh, totally.
With this, I'm like, yeah, let's kill some fucking dolls, man.
Well, and it's great, like, the whole bugging out of the eyes reminds me of Child's Play 2, when the security guard gets his eyes scooped out and replaced with a toy doll.
Yeah. It reminded me of Total Recall, but yeah.
Oh, yes. Also Total Recall. Arnold, on the surface of Mars.
Yes. Probably one of the greatest performances he's ever done.
But, very true. But, like, just the whole sequence. And here's the thing. Like, I'm not saying, like, compared to the Junior scene that Jake's scene is bad or anything like that.
It doesn't have the same emotional stakes.
But, like, holy shit, the catharsis in that scene is
oh, God, yes.
Just beating the shit out of that doll, which just made me so happy. And, it was also the funnier of the scenes for sure, because you have Chucky putting a lampshade on that whole, like, why is this doll so strong? And then Jake's,
yeah,
this makes no sense.
It's like, I am fucking powered by voodoo. Fuck you.
Yeah.
When that happened, I looked at Gage and I said, this fucking scene just solved a decades-old problem I have had with this series.
It is so fun, and it's great that, like, Jake, in this moment he has something to, like, fight for that's, like, personal for him. And, that rage that he exhibits, it's just so fun. And just seeing, like, Chucky's getting murdered left and right makes me so happy.
It always does. I mean, especially now that there's so fucking many of them.
Oh, God, that's going to be great for season 2.
I swear to God, this is going to be like... I don't know. These kids may have to drop out of school and become, doll hunters.
It's going to be like the last 2 Harry Potter movies. They just leave the school and start wandering the world trying to get the Horcruxes. And it's funny because, there are some of those Harry Potter parallels in that. So we'll see what happens with the 72 Chucky. And can we talk about the fact that the 72 Chuckies are going to children's hospitals?
That is the most horrifying part of that whole thing. Like Jennifer Tilly, like, well, okay, actually it is Jennifer Tilly in the show. I thought I fucked up there for a second, but I didn't. Jennifer Tilly / Tiffany and Chucky are like the 2 most evil motherfuckers in any film I have ever seen now.
Oh, yeah.
Because and just like, just send them to kids.
Yeah, and then the whole thing with, like, when Caroline wants the Chucky doll, Tiffany is sure like...
one measly little sick kid can get by without one. Exactly. Oh, my God. That's great. I love Tiffany. I have always loved Tiffany.
Like, Tiffany is... Like, believe me, like, don't, just, as much as I love Chucky, I'm starting to love Tiffany more, just because of how insane she is.
She is, here's the thing, Chucky, you take away the voodoo, he is your standard crazy serial killer. Tiffany is like Eileen Wuornos cranked up to 11.
Yeah,
I am so there for it, and I love her fixation on Nika. Not Nika
and
Chucky, but Nika.
And that's something that it's interesting to see where that goes. So, like, the big movie reference in this one, besides Frankenstein, is obviously Boxing Helena. Have you ever seen that?
I haven't.
Okay, so it is I believe it was directed by David Lynch's daughter, so that's going to tell you a lot right there. But what it is it's a movie about I believe he's a plastic surgeon who becomes fixated on a neighbor, and obviously the parallel here is that he removes her limbs.
Right.
Because he's like fixated on her. And that's what happens with Nika.
I was so mad at that.
You know, and I think it's very cruel, but I think it's also a very interesting character development point.
Yeah.
Because I think they're setting up Nika to be kind of a manipulator. You know, because they have those things where Nika's been practicing her like Chucky mannerisms and everything, right?
Yeah.
So, and you know, one thing, because I follow what the fandom is saying about the show. I mean, I can't help but do that because I write the reviews and we do the podcast and everything like that.
I never follow fandoms.
I do that, and sometimes it's a mistake because what I'm seeing now is a lot of very ableist comments about like, well, they've ruined Nika.
I don't think they ruined Nika. I think what they did was they did something incredibly cruel to a character I have like legitimate sympathy for, and that's what I'm feeling.
But when they say like they've ruined her, it's from that ableist viewpoint of, well, now she doesn't have arms or legs, you know. So what good is she as a character now? And that's the sentiment I'm getting from a certain portion of the fandom. And yeah, it frustrates me because I'm seeing in season 2, like I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but I feel like Nika is going to be manipulating Tiffany.
Do you know what? Ooh, that's a really good point, because me and my roommate, the other Gage, I feel like I need to specify there are now 2 Gages involved, at least tangentially, in this podcast.
Exactly.
But Gagey Boy, my roommate, not Gage Prime, feels that Nika is going to get a doll body.
Which is totally possible. It might be Nika, like, asking Tiffany, like, so how do you do this voodoo thing? And then eventually Nika might manipulate Tiffany into bringing in a doll.
I also got to thinking, what if the 2 personalities meld? And we get Nika Chucky.
You know, maybe like that's the great thing about this is that it's so fucking open-ended.
There are so many directions this could go, and I want to see where it goes.
But just it's still, I'm still kind of hung up on that whole thing of like people approaching this like suddenly Nika is not a valuable person because she no longer has usage of her arms. It's like, no, you're being shitheads.
It's, you know what this reminds me of? There was a certain video game that came out about 10 years ago, and it was about characters with disabilities. And certain gamers were like, but they're not even human now.
Oh, fuck that.
That is
gross.
The worst thing I've ever heard in my life.
Fucking gross.
Fuck all of you guys for that.
Yeah. So, you know, this is a little bit of a soapbox segment here, but
yeah, we're both really...
You can be critical. You could be critical of the decision to basically dismember Tiffany, or I'm sorry, to dismember Nika. But like to imply that there's a person is more valuable than another because of the access to limbs is like it's on the level of being, I think, Chucky and Tiffany. Like, you're not killing anyone, but you're devaluing human life.
You're a Nazi
to such a degree. Yeah,
you're being a Nazi. You're like, oh, you don't have a leg. Well, off to the camps.
Yeah, it got to me. It really got to me to see that stuff.
I'm glad I don't deal with the fandoms, but like I totally understand where you're coming from because I would be really angry.
Well, you know, and a lot of the times the fandom's really sweet because, like, hey, look, I mean, we're all fans of Chucky, so it's good to kind of hear from them and to see what's going on. But like, I saw that kind of, you know, and it's just like, you know, with this show, the show having very, very clear LGBTQ themes, you have that section of the fandom is like, well, why does everybody have to be gay? Why does the main character have to be gay? And it's, you know, it's just as much as like Chucky is doing amazing stuff as a TV show to bring in a more diverse array of characters and audience and everything like that, you still have some of the worst people who are in the fandom, and it bothers the hell out of me.
By the way, can I just say, Devin and Jake's relationship blossoming has been like the most heartwarming part of this whole fucking show.
Oh yes. Like I was legitimately
I was legitimately when they kissed.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
I was like legitimately terrified that they were going to kill off Devin for a
Oh
second because,
God,
like, here's the
same.
thing: Chucky thrives on cruelty. Like the
Yeah.
series as a whole is a very cruel series,
Mm-hmm.
and to kill off Devin, like because they do that fake out obviously,
Oh
but
yeah.
to like kill off Devin, I think would have been like a step too far. I don't necessarily see that with Nika because I think she still has agency, and I'm
Yeah.
curious how they're going to explore that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just to kill off Devin would have been too cruel.
I agree. I completely agree. I also feel like it's been done in television a lot. Like I
Hmm.
know they did that in Supernatural. They had
Yeah,
Castile
they
admitted,
have an entire trope,
yeah,
bury your gays.
bury your gays, and I'm so glad they did not do that.
Hmm. And it's part of the thing. Like part of the reason the finale works so well is because you do have that darker aspect. Chucky wins still. A lot of people die, but then you also have those moments of like hope. You have Jake and Devin, and then you have Lexi in there, and it's like the three of them is kind of like a new family
Yeah,
united by this.
and and Lexi's whole character development, like when she hugs Devin over the loss of his mother.
Hmm.
That is legitimate. That is not like her being like, oh, well, I'm like, so sorry. This is legitimate character development. She cares about these two people now and what they're going through. And
Yeah,
I was
I think the
so
I
happy to
think
see that.
yeah, and I think the family line in episode 6 maybe was like a little forced
Mm,
because she mentions like where your family, why are you running away, that sort of thing
hmm.
to Jake. I think it was a little forced, but it was definitely like at that point I kind of didn't care either because I'm like, no, I see that like the character has developed and over
Hmm.
time that bond between them all is going to get stronger. But yeah, particularly this episode, like how all three of them are absolutely just unified by
Yes.
such dramatic loss because they've all lost a parent.
Well,
They've all
I
lost friends.
hmm I get that because, like, I mean, when I lost my family, I lost the remainder of my family in a very rapid succession several years
Hmm.
ago, and you grab for what family you can find.
Yeah.
I get that. Like, I did not feel it was forced, just coming from a personal experience. Uh,
Okay, I see. I could see that. Like maybe if they had saved that line for episode 8, they would have saved that line for this episode. Maybe I would be less critical of it.
sure,
But even then, even if I'm being critical, it doesn't mean that I don't like it. You know what I mean?
sure.
So like, but no, I do think at this point they are a familial unit, and that
Yes.
makes me happy because I was early on board, saying that like, no, Lexi's a terrible person, but she's
Uh-uh.
gonna get that redemption, which it's kind of obvious, but I think that they handled that redemption very, very well.
Oh Christ, yes. And like she seems to legitimately care about her sister now, which is
Hmm.
great. Fuck her mom. Just in
Well,
general, I am
I wouldn't be
part of me that
surprised
is
if we.
still disappointed she survived.
Well, I feel like we might be getting like a redemption from Mayor Cross as well
We
because
better,
you don't
because
you don't put a character through that much shit to to leave them alive. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
there's got to be a reason for it. And
Well,
if Lexi can change,
I agree that this was definitely a fate worse than death situation.
yeah,
She's definitely lost the next election.
for fucking real, right?
Just
Jesus.
just from like a political standpoint, this woman's career is over. She's going to open a
Yeah.
falafel shop or something. Because she is not going to be the mayor next season.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, you're right. She could definitely get a redemption arc. I would be happy with that
Hmm.
because I don't like hating a character.
Oh, you see, you don't like hating a character, but sometimes you do. You know what I mean?
I no, you're
Like,
right. You're right. I mean, like,
but to leave her alive and have all of this taken from her, I think they're setting up something here.
I think maybe they're setting up her sacrificing herself next season.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see how all this plays out next season because you have all those dolls that are on the road, and like, oh, okay, let's talk about like the big reveal of the Tiffany doll,
Oh
which
God,
I'm just so happy to see the Tiffany doll.
I was too, but I also kind of I had forgotten about it and wasn't
Hmm.
expecting it, even though it was at the end of Cult of Chucky.
Hmm.
Um, Also, speaking of legacy stuff, can we talk about the fact that she had the suitcase
Hmm.
bomb
From
in
Glenda.
it from Glenda?
Hmm.
I don't know if you've read the news, but Mancini has said we've not seen the last of Glenn.
Hmm. Yeah, and
So,
I'm very curious how that's going to turn out. Like, I'm glad they're acknowledging Glenn and Glenda
mm-hmm,
because let's face it, Seed of Chucky is a very divisive film in the
it is,
franchise.
but it
Like
happened.
I adore it. It's goofy as shit. But I think to not bring those characters back
Mm-hmm.
is kind of missing the whole point of the franchise.
I agree, and that's why I'm glad they mentioned them.
Hmm.
And I would not mind seeing Billy Boyd show up.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, like okay. So number one, like Tiffany gleefully opening up that bomb in the suitcase. It's like, oh, my daughter sent this to me. Just it's
and
just such a
and
wonderful.
and Glenda is the one that would send mom a bomb for like
Mhm.
Mother's Day or something.
Right. And it makes me wonder if like Glenda might be in another stage of the plan somewhere else. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
agree. Now here's the funny thing. Gagey Boy, my roommate, thought that the science teacher was Glenda.
I had thought about that as well, but then I wondered what if Glenn had transitioned.
That's a good point. But I also looked at that and I was like, it's too soon to bring those two in.
Yeah.
That's
And
not a season one thing you do.
well, and the other thing, let's talk about the fact that Miss Fairchild was, with the kids at the end when they went to the graveyard.
Yeah.
To pay or respects to the Wheeler family.
Oh yeah.
So did Miss Fairchild adopt the kids?
You know
What's
what? That
going
would
on there?
because like Devin is like said he is going to stay with his aunt, right?
Hmm.
And Jake's got nobody, man.
Yeah,
Literally his entire family's gone.
yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe she obviously loves those kids.
And they're obviously setting up something with her past. So
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if this is a case where because Glenda, they were gender fluid, that
Mm-hmm.
maybe, even though Glenn was, I guess, technically cishet, like maybe realized that they wanted or that they were a different body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm trying to figure out how to articulate this stuff because I'm not an expert in this.
Glenn went into a male body, but that doesn't mean Glenn is a male.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, like, maybe if that's the reveal that, like, this very nice teacher might end up being formerly Glenn.
And you know what? I would be ecstatic with that. The idea that one of the new protagonists, going against Chucky and Tiffany is their offspring.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, this is all wild tinfoil hat speculation, but there's just been so much referenced and so much set up with Miss Fairchild.
Oh,
And
yeah.
For her to have such high billing for
Yeah.
what was a very kind of small role in the grand scheme of things, it seems like there's something that they're getting ready to establish.
And I love that character, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I
Oh yeah, no,
freaking
that's
love that
great.
character. And
Yeah, the no bullshit teacher. I appreciate it.
yeah, no. And here's the thing. I like her, and now that we've come to talk about it, I like her in the same way that I liked Glenn when he wasn't killing people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we'll see about that. But
Right.
I do wanna kind of get back to the Tiffany thing because
Please do.
we finally see the Tiffany doll again, which I cannot tell you how much I love the Tiffany doll so
Yes.
much.
I
But
thought
she
you'd
is
be cuter.
right, because this is the first time that like Andy has really met Tiffany, I think, because I don't
yeah.
think they actually met each other in
No.
Cult.
No, they didn't. Tiffany was just in the back seat of the car with human Tiffany.
Well, and then like yeah, because Andy didn't even meet human Tiffany, aka
No.
Jennifer Tilly. So no, it was super yeah.
I was just gonna say this gets really confusing when you get the whole Jennifer Tilly thing into it.
It's one of the campiest things about the show, and I just appreciate it so much.
Yeah.
But So this is the first time Andy meets Tiffany, and it's Andy who has hijacked the truck full of the good guy dolls, and then Tiffany's in the back, and she holds him at gunpoint, like in I think it was Bride of Chucky, that at one point, like, the Tiffany doll has a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's interesting to just to see these two characters who are very key to Chucky's personality finally meet, and it's basically Chucky on the line here as well.
And I'm just going to say, I was expecting something to come out of that little sliding window, but I was expecting it to be like 72 fucking Chuckies.
Right? Just 72 fucking Chuckies. That needs to be a t-shirt. 72 fucking Chuckies.
Here's the thing. Who drives off in a truck loaded with 72 serial killer dolls and thinks, yeah, I'm safe?
Well, here's the thing. Andy obviously has some issues. He's driven by this mission for sure.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I'm curious what he was going to do with the truck, and I guess we'll find out eventually.
I'm thinking there was, like, explosives involved.
Yeah, I wonder if it might have been like a suicide mission.
I could see that. They've shown his life is not the best, and he's willing to abandon Kyle after all this time to do this.
Well, and then, we also have the whole situation with Kyle, because the show leads us to believe that Kyle is dead. Kyle is definitely not dead. If you watch the graveyard scene, there is a gloved hand. They show Kyle wearing gloves at several points. They show her buying fucking gloves and saying, "Here, Andy, here are gloves."
Yes.
So,
would you like
Kyle,
some gloves? Yeah. They're made of lampshade material. Yeah, no,
yes, exactly. So, Kyle is not dead.
No.
I'm willing to put money on that. I'm willing to put down like $20 now. Kyle still alive.
Yeah, I agree. Kyle is alive. And I understand they're going to be bringing in in season 2, they're going to be bringing in the love interest from the military academy.
Yeah, I had heard something about De Silva coming back. I just, and the other one is like, is there a chance? Because the guy who plays Tyler, who was the little kid in Child's Play 3, he's in jail, I think.
Holy shit!
The actor, the actor is in jail, I believe.
Whoa!
But you could cast someone else as Tyler, especially because, like, okay, this is Tyler as an adult.
Holy crap! That's
I appreciate their and I appreciate their willingness to, like, bring back the original actors when they can.
Right, like it's
you don't have to.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I would love to see De Silva back, and like, what's Andy's relationship to her? Obviously they aren't together or anything like that.
No, they're not.
Andy is incredibly damaged.
Yeah, I mean, I think not the episode, but like the beginning of Cult of Chucky with Andy on the date is a very clear example of how his life is going.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that date went south. Let me go home and
smoke a joint with my Chucky doll.
And yell at a doll head on a railroad tie.
There have been comments about Alex Vincent's acting, as Andy, and like I can see, like, yeah, he's not the strongest performer.
No, but he's doing very well, actually.
Yeah, and then considering the type of character he's playing, you kind of want that kind of
he's detached
woodenness. Yeah, you want that detachment from it. So like I think. Like, I love how the series has, tackled Andy, and I'm glad that Alex Vincent's still on for the ride, because, like, I grew up with Andy. Andy is my connection to the show, just like Jake is going to be the connection for, like, people, of this generation, the Gen Zers, the Zoomers. So,
I mean, we're talking about a character who his entire life has been trauma. I don't expect him to act like a normal human.
Yeah, there's no way you could go through all that. At least, with Kyle was old enough to know a life outside of a murderous voodoo doll.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. She had her own fucked up past too, but there was something before Devil Doll showed up
Yeah.
So yeah,
At least, yeah, like, how old was Andy in the first one? He was like, what, 6?
6.
Yeah. Can you imagine ever, 6 years old, it was his birthday. Yeah, it was 6 years old on your birthday, and after that, everything just goes to fucking shit and never stops.
Yeah. Like, you're in, how old is he now? Like 40?
Yeah, he's like 40-something. So, like, yeah, just, of course he's going to be fucking miserable.
Yeah.
Of course he's going to be detached from everyone.
Yeah,
but,
34 years of your life have been ruined by a serial killer and a doll. You're gonna have a few issues.
Yeah, and all things considered, given what he's gone through, he's still a very good person, even though he's like cold-blooded as shit and taking out these Chucky dolls. Like, he don't give a fuck. He'll shoot a gun near a girl's ear.
Yeah. Who gives a fuck?
Like, yeah, he still very much has love in his heart, though, because he sees, Kyle has a life, and that's why he leaves her. It's a stupid decision, but
Definitely.
it makes a whole lot of fucking sense for him, too.
Yeah.
Oh, man. And then, so much going on here. Let's talk about the movie theater scene because, I was expecting a massacre. I thought there would be more Chuckies there. I was wrong on that, but we still had 2 of them.
Yeah, well, budgetary reasons, I was not expecting a theater. I wasn't expecting Gremlins with Chucky.
Right, that's what I wanted so bad.
I
wanted
did too.
Gremlins with Chucky, and I wanted the theater to burn down. I just thought that like the theater burning down would.
That would have been an amazing ending, and who knows? I have not seen the original script for this, but
right.
It was a really good choice to use Frankenstein, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and go ahead and tell us why you think that. Like, I'm with you on there, but I want to hear
because it's great because they managed to take what's happening on screen with Frankenstein and have it parallel what is happening in the theater. Mm-hmm. Like you said, you wanted to see the theater burn down. Well, we didn't get that, but we got 2 dead Chucky dolls, and as they're leaving, the Castle Frankenstein is burning down on screen.
Which is an absolutely great point. And then, the scenes that they put on emphasis in the film, one of them, of course, being the infamous scene with Frankenstein and the little girl.
Oh, God, Chucky just this is my favorite scene.
Yeah, because he's sitting right there next to Caroline. He's like, yeah, it's my favorite scene.
I'm like, you are a horrible thing.
Well, and the thing is, like, for a normal person, that can be a favorite scene because it's a very powerful thing,
But Chucky loves it.
Chucky, yeah.
You know what it reminded me of was Cape Fear.
Uh-huh.
When he starts laughing in the theater at the murder.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Yeah.
Which it's probably also like a Cape Fear reference a little bit, too. Like, I'm sure that's floating around in the back.
Cape Fear references in this show.
Like, let's talk about that entire episode, Cape Queer.
Yes, exactly. So,
But yeah, you're totally right with like the parallels of the Chucky thing, and I think it's shortly after you hear the "It's Alive," where Chucky starts kind of moving around and doing his thing in the theater. I think
tries to get mom, fails, goes for dad.
And he's been pulling that move since Child's Play 1,
and to see it work,
it finally lands, and he does a fucking multi-kill with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that kill. Let's talk about which every once in a while, there's a horror project that makes you rethink parts of the world. So, like, when Jaws comes out, people get a little scared of the water. My mom told me how, like, when she had first seen Jaws, she was afraid to go to the bathroom because she was afraid, a shark would come up out of the toilet.
Sure. Okay.
Right. I think a lot of people are going to be in, say, 10, 20 years thinking about, remember that scene in Chucky when he stabs people through the theater chairs? And you're going to have people who are checking their theater chairs before they sit down.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm sitting there going, well, I don't want to get stabbed in the asshole and die by a killer doll in the theater.
Oh, and just imagine all the dookie blood.
Oh my God, you and the dookie blood. I'm sitting there and I'm like, I just saw Ghostbusters. This could have happened to me. I could have had a knife shoved up me bum.
It's just such a hilariously cruel way to kill people.
It is.
And, you don't imagine, like, people would be so quiet. Like, how did Nathan, Mary Cross's husband, how did, like, he not scream or anything like that?
Yeah,
But, Chucky probably timed it with the movie. And the other thing is, Caroline isn't going to notice.
No, she's a special girl. She's watching the movie. And like, when they go to get her out and all the people are screaming and they've left, she's like, but the movie's not over.
Yeah, and that's just I think that was a interesting way to do it. And
Mhm.
then let's talk about the blood and the popcorn, because like I was watching it with Holly, and Holly just like freaked the
Mm,
fuck out
no.
when the blood gets in the popcorn and then the mayor eats the popcorn.
Yeah. Dude, that happened, and my roommate was just like, "Oh God, no, 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 no," because he's like real squeamish about that kind of
Uh-huh.
stuff, and I'm sitting here going, raspberry."
Yeah, meanwhile, I'm laughing my ass off.
Yeah.
At this moment, my wife is just like, ugh. And I'm just like, ha ha ha.
Look at the bloody popcorn. So
Oh.
it was a really fun thing. I agree. I don't see how no one, when they got stabbed in the butt, didn't go, ah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if it was really sharp and you hit that femoral artery,
Sure.
like, I guess the instant blood loss. But
Yeah.
I don't know. But then again, this is a show where it's very much a heightened reality. We had a
Oh
guy
yeah,
bleed out of his fingernails. So,
that's true.
like, that's always going to be a thing I'm going to remember about the show. Remember the guy whose fingernails were bleeding?
Yeah. Now I will say this:
Mhm.
Chucky, when it worked, when he actually was stabbing people through the seat, and it worked, the level of glee he experienced that it finally fucking worked.
Like, you know that meme of that guy who's sitting in like that pond? He's like he's a heavier guy, and it's like me in my element thriving.
Yes.
That's the whole vibe I got from Chucky there, just stabbing people in the asshole.
Also, they brought back the most horrifying doll face from the first movie in that sequence.
Yes, with the very heavy scowl where it's almost
Yes.
like the eyebrows become mechanically just like a V.
Yes. I was ecstatic during that whole scene.
Yeah, I think the whole movie theater massacre is fantastic. Like, stabbing people in the asshole is hilarious
And
goofy,
horrifying.
horrifying. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and just to have Chucky like crawling underneath the seats, just having his day. Having
Yeah.
his day, just murdering people. I think it was like at least like 12, 13 people he killed in the theater.
Yeah, I believe so. It was double digits for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then one thing I want to talk about is like how fucking funny the show is.
It is hilarious.
Just some of it like intentional, like funny line reads or character dialogue.
Uh-huh.
Some of it just like because of the nature of the way the show is made. So when Junior and Chucky show up at the Hackensack residence of Charles Lee Ray, and Junior sets the doll down, and you see the doll run towards Tiffany.
Like a little kid.
Yes, because it is a little kid dressed as Chucky running towards Jennifer Tilly. And I laughed.
Oh
God, I just laughed so hard because of just the way that Chucky was running.
And she tickles him.
Yeah.
The whole goddamn scene where I'm just giggling. It is so damn funny.
Yeah, and just there's so many of those moments.
She's got such a better relationship with that fucking doll than she does with Nika.
Well, yeah, and then when like Chucky turns on her and she starts cutting his head off. It's there's so much great like unintentional and intentional comedy. It's like I'm just so glad they were able to find that balance of being comedic while also being terrifying. Because that's hard to do.
It really is. There's very few films or television shows that pull that off. Evil Dead 2, I think, strikes a really good balance, while Evil Dead 3 is just fucking comedy.
Yeah.
But Evil Dead 2 definitely kind of walks that line.
Well, and we also got an all-time great Chucky eating scene when they're wrestling in the theater, and then Jake just fucking chucks Chucky down the aisle. just seeing that doll like be thrown around always just makes me laugh.
Oh yeah, no, and I always every time he lands, I expect a combat roll under some furniture.
It wasn't as great as when he got tased and got sent flying, but
oh god, I loved that. Yeah.
Yeah, some of my favorite little bits that happen to him are like when he gets thrown, or when someone's carrying him and bumps his head against a door frame.
Oh yeah, no. The minute that happens, you're like you're a dead person.
Yeah, or when someone shoves him in a trash can. That's also
yeah,
just
yeah, that's a given. And
well,
I
then,
love that it happened, and like he got thrown in the trash can, and the death didn't happen until this episode.
Yeah,
So that was great.
Yeah, I as a whole, like, super funny. And then, of course, we have the very, very horrific thing that happens to Nika, which,
Oh God.
and honestly, like, okay, so Tiffany has always been a psychopath, like,
Yes.
always. And they did a good job this season kind of, like, reminding us, hey, Tiffany has always been this way.
Yeah, this is not
But
like Chucky made her like this. This is two
the two worst
horrible
people
boats.
hook up.
Yeah, oh God, yeah. And then they have a kid.
Oh, man. But it's that thing where it's like everybody's so shocked by what Tiffany did, and then like initially to go that far seems like a shock, but then when you think about Tiffany, it's like, well, no, that makes total sense for Tiffany.
No, I mean, one of her big complaints is we never kill anybody anymore. And can we talk about the big reveal?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
That Tiffany is the one that called the cops on Chucky back in the 80s.
Yeah, see, and I had that feeling.
Mhm.
I had that feeling. I wasn't willing to, like, say it, but it totally makes sense.
And if you take that into account with what we learn in the previous two films, he went out, told her not to wait up, and then he went and saw the woman he had tied up in a basement.
Yes.
Then the cops show up.
And they've dropped a couple references to Mike Norris. I feel like Chris Sarandon's going to be back for season 2.
Oh, I hope so.
I think he and Catherine Hicks are going to show up.
I would love that. I would love, like, Andy, we're here to help. You don't understand, motherfucker. We saw the doll. We fought the doll. We know what's happening.
They dropped too many. They dropped too many references to Mike Norris. It's going to happen, and I guarantee you, Chris Sarandon's game. Like he was interested in coming back for Child's Play 2, but between like scheduling errors and that sort of thing, it just didn't pan out.
I love him as an actor in general.
Oh yeah.
So I'd be down for him and Andy's mom. Which you know what's funny is the whole time I'm sitting there watching the first Child's Play movie, and I'm looking at his mom, and I'm sitting there trying to figure out why I recognize her, and then suddenly I think of Humpback Whales, and I'm like, oh yeah, Star Trek 4, right?
Yep. For Holly, it was, hey, it's the mom from Seventh Heaven. So,
okay, that's fair. I could see that.
But I can't tell you how much I love this as a season finale. It was even a longer episode, which is like, you're in for a treat.
Oh yeah.
Like, I watch a lot of horror TV. So, for example, one of the shows that I watch every season is American Horror Story. It inevitably shits the bed about 4 episodes in. Like, promising start. It's like, ooh, okay. But then, like, after about 4 episodes, everything falls apart.
I kind of feel
so
like
happy.
Shows like that, they come up with a strong start, and they pitch the start, and then they're like, well, now we got to figure out how to end it.
Yeah. And I feel like Chucky was very, very planned to
absolutely.
It wasn't a thing where they were just kind of like writing episode to episode with just like, we have a loose idea. I think they had a very, very clear idea of the direction that they wanted to go, and they fucking landed it.
And they had a very good writing room.
Yeah, I'm very pleased with just the writing on the show in general. It's hard to say anything beyond the fact that I fucking love the show so much.
I totally agree. This is, and like you said, I am a curmudgeon. I do not like things easily. And I was ecstatic with how this show turned out.
Yeah.
So,
it just, I'm gonna get the show on Blu-ray. And then I am going to watch all of the movies, and I'm going to watch the show, and I'm just going to be very, very happy.
Yeah. There's not a lot of TV shows I will go back and watch again, because you cannot recapture that magic.
Right. I've tried that a couple times with, like, Breaking Bad, you know what I mean? Where it's like, I watched the show as it was coming out. It was like an event thing for me. And then, like, I got all the discs, and I've watched the season, like, once. But I haven't been able to go back and watch the entire series since.
Right. See, that's me with Stargate SG-1. I loved it when I was watching it, and I was working on comics at the time, so I definitely had like the Stargate SG-1 radio show experience. Like, there'd be those occasions where I'd look up, I'd be like, oh yeah, teal's black. Okay. And go back to doing what I'm doing. But like, this is one of those shows I want to go back and watch. I want to look for the foreshadowing. I want to see all the things I missed in the background. I want to see references I didn't catch. I also want to say, since I wasn't on that episode, I have been a big fan of Alexa Doig for a very long time as an actress in general. And I loved her arc. I kind of thought they were going to go, like, they really set it up to be like she's cheating on her husband. And when it got revealed to be cancer, I was like, oh my God.
See, I didn't think it was a cheating thing from the beginning because they already mined that in Curse of Chucky.
Yes, I agree. They did.
I just felt like it would have been too easy to go back to that well. I wasn't sure what it was. I didn't really expect cancer, but like looking at the clues, it's like, oh yeah, no, it totally makes sense that it's cancer. But
and again,
yeah.
Again, this is something I've been through with my family, and it really hit home.
Yeah.
And then Chucky threw her out a fucking window.
Death by defenestration.
Yes.
Let's talk about that little bit.
Yeah,
at the end.
Let's
completely obliterating the fourth wall.
Yes.
Campy as shit. Chucky in his little lounge chair in next to the fireplace in a little smoking jacket, looking so cute.
Yes, he's a very dapper motherfucker. And the fact that, oh hi, I didn't see you there. I was like, oh motherfucker. This is great. I love this.
It's such a weird little note to end the season on, but also totally fitting.
It is. It's very. I don't know. I don't think there's many horror movies, horror series that could get away with that. Maybe Nightmare on Elm Street, the original.
Right. You know, like I could see like if they were doing a Freddy Krueger show, which I hope they kind of look into doing because like. Holy shit, like Chucky just shows that this works. Like I could see Freddy Krueger totally sitting down doing like his kill count or whatever, but to have Chucky do his own kill count of 21.
Very respectable number for a TV show.
Oh god, yes. Like that's a hell of a body count for
really
first
is.
season.
I still let's talk more about the scene though. And then we'll come back to what I was just thinking.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. So it was definitely a reference to like certain YouTube channels. I think like Red Meat, where they do like those kill count videos. Because I've referred to some of those videos at times when I'm like looking up something.
Sure,
you know, I'll see a Red Meat video on like the kill count of Nightmare on Elm Street 3. You know,
right.
it's kind of funny that like Mancini's kind of like beating them to the punch with that. But the other bit where Chucky talks about great authors and then he mentions Mancini, I'm just like, go for it, Don. Go for it. You fucking earned it.
Yeah. I don't know. It was just fun. But
yeah.
Did you have a favorite kill in the series?
In the TV show or the
TV
franchise
show
as a whole?
The TV show.
Man, it's tough because I loved I loved Bree's death, but I think it was just like a thesis statement for the show when Chucky electrocutes Jake's dad by vomiting up whiskey. That just just something about that moment
encapsulates the whole series.
Right, because it's horrific as shit, but it's also funny as fuck. Yes.
And I'm going to go, and my two favorites were the dishwasher. Because who hasn't been unloading the dishwasher and thought, that would suck if I fell on these knives?
Well, that's if you put your knives pointed end up.
I don't. One of my roommates does. I'm like, dude, you're even scared of knives. Why are you doing this?
Next time, push them into the dishwasher. They'll learn.
Yeah. Well, it's a one-time lesson. But yeah. But definitely...
I think they'll get the point.
Oh, you're killing me, buddy. Yep. But my absolute favorite is definitely the whiskey kill because, again, that was obviously a bottle of Woodford Reserve, my favorite bourbon. And while I was thinking, wow, what a waste of good bourbon, I was like, this is perfect.
And with that being said, though, I still have to give a lot of credit to butthole stabbings.
Yes, okay.
It's going to awaken a whole new phobia in a lot of people.
Out of the 21 kills, that's in my top 3.
And the most likely death is probably the butthole stabbings.
I don't know that we should be spreading that.
Yeah, no, theaters are perfectly safe, everybody.
Yeah, no.
I just saw Ghostbusters again. We're good.
Besides the coronavirus, theaters are perfectly safe. There is no living.
Just check your seat. Do yourself a favor and check your seat. That's all I'm going to say.
Or sit in one of those recliner seats where nothing can get under it easy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Just the fact that there has been a Chucky TV show.
And it was good.
It fucking stuck the landing. I think it developed the series in a fantastic direction. And the fact that we're getting more of it. Just, I cannot believe that I am so fortunate as someone who has been with this franchise since I was a child. It's been a part of my life. I can't think of a year where I didn't at least watch several of the movies.
Yeah.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah, I'm gonna say,
what a time to be alive.
This is the first thing that has made me say we might actually be living in the good timeline. I know that doesn't say a lot for the other timelines, but at least we got the Chucky series.
Well, and then for fans of Supernatural Selection, all we have to do is tell them that they need to meditate and focus on the timeline they want to be in, and then they will transfer over to that timeline.
Yeah, just make sure you have more than $18.32 in your bank account when you do it.
Yeah, make sure that you sun gaze for at least 45 minutes a day.
Burn your eyes out, kids.
Oh, yes. That hopefully will get people to listen to the other podcast we do.
Yes.
Yes.
I was just going to say, I'm looking through some of your notes here, and I do love the fact that he referenced as his Achilles heel all the ways he's been killed.
Oh, yes. And then that was just shortly after the Ghoulies reference?
Yes.
With him popping out of the toilet like that, which just, he does the exact fucking pose, and I'm just like, oh, Don, that's beautiful, thank you.
Yeah, it also reminds me of an old Iron Maiden album cover.
Oh, can we also talk about just Andy in that scene over at Junior's house? And just he lets himself in and he's just going around checking the cabinets and shit.
Digging in a filled bathtub.
Right. And just, Andy knows totally what's going on here. And he's looking for Chucky because he knows Chucky's there. He just can't
and Junior knows what's going on. And it's creepy and it's also just drastically weird.
Mm-hmm. But it also makes all the fucking sense in the world because this is Andy Barclay, and he knows that this fucking doll is somewhere in that house.
Yeah, well, I mean, we proved in that scene with him and Kyle talking to the little girl's family that Andy has zero chill.
That's one way to put it.
He has zero chill when it comes to Chucky hunting, and it also shows just how fucking damaged Junior is at this point. Because, he's acting creepy as fuck.
It's such a wonderful scene. I'm just so happy that scene exists, just to see these two very damaged people, each with their own agenda that the other person knows, and they're just playing, who's the better bluffer here. And
I also
feel good at it.
I also have a feeling neither of them really knows how normal people act. So they're like, right? I don't know, maybe this is fucking normal. Maybe what he's doing is just perfectly fine. Maybe people just come into your house and dig in your water and go, it's cold.
Yeah, exactly.
What the
fuck? Even if I was looking for a killer doll, I would not stick my hand in a bubble bath.
That is a surefire way to get murdered.
Yeah, it's what's worse, that or when they were digging around for the needles in the
oh my god,
the dumpster.
Yeah, in the dumpster hospital. Of medical waste.
Either way, you're gonna die. So.
Yeah, and also the fact that Chucky knew he wouldn't look in the toilet.
Right, which makes you wonder how many times Chucky has shoved himself in the toilet before.
I want to see Tex Avery style cartoons of Andy and Chucky. Like a Bugs Bunny cartoon by Tex Avery. Of just him, shh, be very, very quiet. I'm hunting Chuckies. And Chucky
that'd be
just
so fun.
pops out of a toilet going, well, fuck this guy.
Oh my gosh.
Uh,
It's such a fun finale, and I'm so glad
it
that
is.
I got you here to talk about it
I
because,
I am so glad to be here because I have enjoyed every minute of taking this show in.
So, before we go, I do want to mention some news. So
All right.
with the TV show ending for the season, I'm not going to be doing weekly episodes anymore because holy shit, that gets exhausting.
Doesn't it, though?
I'm aiming for about like every 2 weeks. I have an episode planned. I'm going to be doing the rest of the movies, obviously, but I have some
Right.
other like episodes planned. I'm going to probably do one of those different episodes for the next one, and then get back to Child's Play 3. And I'm going to have Phil on again because he definitely wants to talk Child's Play 3.
Right.
But yeah, I'm going to go every 2 weeks with this from here on. You know, I think
Okay.
I have enough content. Honestly, enough content to maybe, hopefully, get us to season 2. Like, I may have to take like 2 or 3 months off, but like I think I have enough to keep this going because I thought it was going to be a very short podcast. You know what I mean? I thought I was
Right.
going to do just the movies and just the TV show, and that was it. But I found these interesting angles by which to approach,
Right.
which I'm very excited about. So, yeah, so I'm not going to be with y'all weekly for the foreseeable future, at least until the next season of the show. But I am planning at least a couple of episodes a month, which, you know, I'm excited that I've done this for myself, that I'm excited that I like pulled the trigger, did the podcast, and I'm keeping it going. And like the reaction's been good. I'm very happy with it. I've been going back and forth with the Chucky Vision gentlemen, who are like, have you heard their podcast, Chucky Vision, at
I
all?
have not, but I have subscribed to it. I will be listening. They are
It's very
following
good.
me on Twitter, and I
Aw.
followed them back. So I'm super excited to check out their show, and I'm hoping maybe we can do some crossovers.
Oh yeah, we've already started talking about that sort of thing and DMs and everything like that. It's
Mm-hmm.
just, you know, because my day job is I'm a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Semester's wrapping up in week after next, and then I'm gonna have some time to work on some stuff because my non-movie episodes are gonna be more research heavy. So I just have to have time to do the research, and I also have 4 different Nostradamus books to pitch to read through for your show.
Yeah.
So
You've got a lot on your plate, and I'm
yeah.
reading about the Vatican Secret Archive.
Which I
So
cannot wait to be on for that episode
let me
because I
let me
love
tell you, man,
creepy Christian stuff.
we are gonna talk a lot about Jesus Christ's foreskin.
You heard it here first. So, yeah, let's go ahead and pitch your show again to the audience. And just
All right.
if you're dying to hear me, I'm on there like for a third of the episode. So there
He
you
is.
go.
David is a massive contributor and a fantastic co-host, and him and Mike keep me going. The show is Supernatural Selection. It is a look at the paranormal with professional amateurs, and our episodes go up weekly, usually Saturday mornings. You can catch it early on Fridays at midnight Eastern time on Deviant Behavior Radio. And after that, it goes up on the podcast feed. And again, we have a Patreon. We have got bonus episodes we're doing. I'm reading a book at Mike about the paranormal, and he is not enjoying it. And I'm talking with David about some of the worst documentaries we've ever seen in our lives.
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely loving this like archive trawl of documentaries with you. And then,
Oh, God.
one of the things that I'm doing to help out the podcast, I don't talk about my illustrations much here on the show, but I do illustrations.
He is an
So,
extremely talented artist, people. Don't let him tell you otherwise.
oh, thank you. So, we have this thing on Supernatural Selection called the Monster Club, where I will do. You have to be a patron for a certain amount of time, but I will do a cryptid drawing for you.
Yes.
And you know, they're very cute. They're very fun.
And I'm Jet Horse.
Yes, and I'm a Kentucky Goblin holding a toy Godzilla because that is pretty much my personality.
Somebody did ask me if that was supposed to be Godzilla or Reptar.
It could be both because Reptar is a pastiche of Godzilla, so there you go.
So that's a thing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me on, David. You know, I love doing shows with you, and I absolutely love talking Chucky with you.
Yeah, when I did the first episode for the series, and I knew that I was going to be covering the TV show, I'm like, no, I'm gonna have Kevin on a couple more times. Also because you're pretty much readily available whenever I need you, which really helps out, especially when you have to do like a weekly show.
No, trust me, I completely understand that.
And I also want to throw a shout out to my wife Holly, who stepped up for a couple of the episodes, and those were really fun episodes with her jumping in and being the guest, and it was nice to just kind of sit next to someone and like look at her with love in my eyes as we talked about
murder
death and chaos and murder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think this has been successful so far. I am looking forward to doing more. There will be more of Kids' stuff. And I'm definitely going to have you on again at some point. I don't know when.
Thank you. I would love to be on for the reboot.
Yeah, okay. I'll go ahead and slot you in for the Buddy one. Yeah. So I think that is it. So I think we can go ahead and close out here. Go ahead and keep listening. Go ahead and subscribe and share the podcast if you can. If you have any questions, you can always tweet me at HPKOMIC. I'd love to answer them on the show. Otherwise, go ahead and keep it creepy, Chucky fans.
Vaya con Dios.
You have been listening to Kids' Stuff, a Chucky podcast, a HauntedMTL original podcast. Our theme is Pop Goes the Weasel by Kevin MacLeod. You can find more of Kevin MacLeod's music at incompetech.filmmusic.io. If you want to find out more about me, the podcaster, you can just go to hpkomics.com, hpcomics.com, or you can find me on the socials at hpkomic. For more great horror content, do not forget to visit HauntedMTL.com.